First of all, on the behalf of JNU family, I would like to welcome our ex-Union Finance Minister, Shri Chidambaram. That in very short notice, you granted our invitation. Thank you very much. Secondly, I want JNU-New Unit President Vikas Yadav to present a memento to sir in his work. Sunny in charge and Vikas President. ओके, थोड़ा सा शांत अगर हो जाएंगे तो प्रोग्राम जल्दी शुरू कर देंगे. Without any delay, I want Vikas Yadav to say a few words and hand over the mic to sir. Vikas.
Good evening, friends. I would like to extend my warm welcome and warm regards to Shri P. Chidambaram sir, ex-Finance Minister and ex-Home Minister. I would like to extend my warm welcome to you also, because you have gathered here in so large numbers. साथियों, मेरा भी इंग्लिश में थोड़ा सा हल्का सा टाइट ही है, बट इट्स वेरी ओके. सर ने मेरे को अभी बताया कि इनको थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा जल्दी जाना है. कल की तरह मैं ज़्यादा बहुत लंबा स्पीच नहीं दूंगा, बजाय कि मैं सीधा का सीधा माइक जो है सर को दे रहा हूँ और आप लोगों के बीच में नहीं आऊँगा. ठीक है. आई वुड नाउ लाइक टू इनवाइट मिस्टर पी चिदम्बरम टू प्लीज डिलीवर द टॉक. थैंक यू.
Good evening to all of you. Can you hear me out there? Okay, all right. Good evening to all of you. Vikas Yadav, Sunny Mehta, my young friends. It's nice to be among young people, but I must confess, all of you look very, very young. Either very young children are joining JNU, or I'm becoming very old soon. Anyways, nice to see so many young faces. I'm going to speak to you on some things I believe in, and some things which I think you must be concerned about. I mean, I could pick internal conflict, I could pick Kashmir, I can pick foreign relations, I could pick communal conflict, I could pick violence. While each one of this is important, I think the most important thing for a country with, say, 130 crore people, and nearly 60% of them below the age of 35 years is, what is the future of India's economy? Country is its economy. A growing country, a flourishing economy means that people are happy, people look forward to the future, people are confident, and people learn to live with other people. But an economy which is on the decline, an economy which is sputtering, an economy where there are no jobs, that will eventually lead to a great deal of dissatisfaction, conflict, crime, and social disharmony. So I want to speak to you about the economy. I know not many of you are enrolled in economics courses, but I'm going to speak to you in a way that even non-economic students will understand what I'm talking about. By the way, I don't have a degree in economics. Although a lot of people think I do, I don't have a degree in economics. You can learn economics the way I learned economics, on the job. Economics is basically sense, something which your father, your mother will know, a farmer will know, a shopkeeper will know, a small businessman will know. How does growth take place? Just ask yourself the question. How does growth take place? Growth takes place if more people demand goods and services, and then on the other side there are enough people to supply those goods and services. That's growth. He said 100 people want bicycles. Then somebody will produce 100 bicycles. If people want 1,000 bicycles, then somebody will get together and say, we'll produce 1,000 bicycles. If a country wants 100,000 bicycles, then obviously somebody has to produce 100,000 bicycles. And if you want to produce 100,000 bicycles, you must produce steel, you must produce copper, somebody must make that steel into rims, somebody has to produce leather to make a seat, somebody has to produce something which acts as a brake, somebody has to make something which acts as a bell. So this is how growth takes place. People must buy things, people will sell things. People must consume things, people will produce things. Now why is somebody poor? Somebody is poor because he does not have enough to buy food. He does not have enough to buy clothes. He does not have enough to buy shoes for his children. He does not have enough to buy books for his children. He's poor. But if he has the money to buy books, buy clothes, buy shoes, then he's certainly richer than what he was yesterday. And if somebody buys these things, somebody will make these things. That's how an economy grows. Consumption drives production. People must buy, people must sell. That's the basic of any economy. You call it capitalist, you call it communist, you call it socialist, it makes no difference. An economy keeps growing if people will buy and people will sell. Now, people must buy and people must sell. Two things must happen. Those who want to buy must have income. Without an income, how do you buy? Why is somebody poor? Because he has only an income of 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees a month. Why is somebody rich? Because he has an income of 50,000 rupees a month. Why is somebody super rich? He has an income of several crores a year. So if you want to buy things, consume things, you must have income. Now how will people make things? People will make things only if you've got the capital. You must invest. If you must produce steel, if you must produce aluminium, if you must produce leather goods, you must invest. Otherwise, you can't venture up. There's no Aladdin's lamp. You take a lamp and rub it, and suddenly steel will come. Steel will not come. Steel means you must invest in a steel plant. So people must invest. So all this long story is to tell you a couple of economic truths. First, an economy is growing only when people have incomes. An economy is growing only when people have money to invest. Without investment, without income, an economy is not growing. Now what is happening in India today is there is no investment. Investment is not taking place. Because investment is not taking place, jobs are not being created. Because jobs are not being created, incomes are not rising. If incomes are not rising, people are consuming not as much as they should, they're consuming less. This is the vicious cycle of poverty. If you want to break this cycle, you have to break it somewhere. You have to create jobs, or you have to find money to invest, you have to produce more. That is the only way an economy will grow. What has happened in the last 3 years, and I know some people will disagree with me, but that is a fact. What has happened in the last 3 years is investment is stagnant. Because investment is stagnant, jobs are not being created. Because jobs are not being created, incomes are not rising. Let's start with the farm sector. 60% of India, in some way or other, depends on agriculture. You go out to rural India, that is visible. Some way or other, they are dependent on agriculture. Either they own land and they till the land, or they work on the land, or they are farm workers, farm labor, or they are in activity related to land. Agriculture may contribute less than 20%, 20 as GDP, but agriculture provides sustenance to nearly 60% of our people. So we cannot neglect agriculture. For a long, long time, India's mainstay will be agriculture. There's another way to look at it. We are 130 crore people. We need rice, we need wheat, we need pulses. Who will grow them? Is there any country in the world which can grow enough rice and enough wheat and enough pulses to feed 130 crore people? There's no country in the world. There's no country in the world which has so much surplus that it can feed 130 crore people. Which is why, way back, Jawaharlal Nehru said, everything can wait, but not agriculture. Everything can wait, but not agriculture. Because we must feed our own people. No country, take a country like, say, you pick any country, France. Can France produce what you and I need? Take a country in Africa, Nigeria. Can Nigeria produce enough food for us? No way. So agriculture is the mainstay of India. It will remain the mainstay of India. We need agriculture in order to feed our people. We need agriculture because 60% of the people are dependent on agriculture. Now what has happened to agriculture? I'm not saying this. Arvind Subramaniam, until last month, the chief economic advisor to the government of India, said in the last 4 years, real agricultural incomes have remained stagnant. Real agricultural income, adjusted for inflation, it is stagnant, which means a farmer who was earning, say, 1,000 rupees a month 4 years ago is earning the same 1,000 rupees after 4 years. A small landholder, say 2 acres of land, he was earning, say, 50,000 rupees a year, he's earning the same 50,000 rupees a year. Agricultural labor who was getting, say, 300 rupees a day 4 years ago is getting the same 300 rupees a day, which means agriculture is stagnating. And if agriculture is stagnating, 60% of India, which is dependent on agriculture in one way or other, is stagnating. This is the biggest drawback to India's economy. This government has totally failed in agriculture. In fact, I can charge it with criminal neglect of agriculture, as a result of which millions of people are today stagnating where they were 4 years ago. Now let's move to industry. 90% of jobs, you will find it when you go out into the world and look for a job. 90% of jobs in India, formal jobs, are in the SME sector. In fact, to be exact, something like 93% of jobs are in the SME sector. The Birlas and Tatas don't create too many jobs. Today, to put up a power plant of, say, 1,000 megawatts, it will cost you 5,000 crore rupees. That's a rule of thumb. 5 crore for 1 megawatt. If you invest 5,000 crore rupees and put up a 1,000 megawatt plant, at best you will create 1,000 jobs. So 5,000 crore will create 1,000 jobs. So that's where now the jobs are created. Jobs are created in the small and medium sector, small and medium enterprises, shopkeepers, small workshops, small tool rooms, somebody who is in the service industry, runs a laundry, runs a bakery, or somebody who manufactures cakes, somebody who got 6 looms and manufactures clothes. Jobs are created in India, like in the rest of the world, in the small and medium sector. If somebody employs 4 people and he grows big enough to employ 5 people or 6 people, 2 jobs are created. Jobs are created in India in the SME sector. Now, what has happened to the SME sector? I told you about agriculture. Now, let me tell you about the SME sector. SME sector in the last 4 years has had negative credit. Negative credit. I want to start a business. I've got 5 lakhs of rupees. I go to a bank and banks give me 5 lakh of rupees. I start a business with 10 lakhs. So bank giving me 5 lakh of rupees is positive credit. But 4 years ago, banks were giving X number of 1,000 crores as credit. 4 years later, they're giving less credit. If banks are giving less credit, that is negative credit. If there is negative credit, how can there be investment in the SME sector? No new SMEs are coming up. If no new SMEs are coming up, how can jobs be created? The result why there are no jobs anywhere, and I'm going to come to jobs a little more detail. There are no jobs anywhere is because the SME sector is not creating jobs. In the Tamil Nadu Legislative Assembly, the Minister of Industry made a statement about 2 months ago, official statement. He said, in 2017-18, in Tamil Nadu alone, 50,000 SME units were closed down and 5 lakh people lost their jobs. You've all heard of Tirupur. I go to Tirupur quite often. Tirupur is one town where you walk on any street, you used to find boards, vacancies. we are recruiting people. In Tamil, vacancies, we are recruiting people. Today you go to Tirupur, I can't find a single board which says job vacancies, we are recruiting people. Not one board I can see. Which means SMEs are not creating jobs. If SMEs are not creating jobs, if those who are employed, let us assume, remain employed, where are the new jobs coming? There are no new jobs because SME sector is simply not getting credit. Now you may ask me, why should SMEs create jobs? We are all master's degree holders, we are PhD degree holders, we are not going to work in an SME, right? But not all are master's degree holders and not all are PhD degree holders. What is the position of education in this country? If 100 children join class 1, if 100 children join class 1, by the time they reach class 8, 60% of the children have left school. 80% of children have left school by the time they complete class 12. Only 20% of children complete class 12 and go to college. So in India, we must find jobs not only for PhD and MA and MSc. We have to find jobs for plus 2. We have to find jobs for class 10. We have to find jobs for class 8. We have to find jobs even for class 5 students. People have done 5 years of school. We have to find jobs for them. And these jobs are available only in agriculture or agriculture-related activities or in SME sector. I mean, Narayana Murthy of Infosys is not going to employ a class 5 student. Wipro or Tata Consultancy is not going to employ somebody who's completed class 8. But in India, I have to find jobs for people who complete class 8 as well as class 5. Therefore, today agriculture is stagnant, SME is not growing, SMEs are closing down, which is why India's economy is in the present stage. You may ask me, well, the numbers say we are growing at 7%. Of course we will grow at 7%. Why would we not grow at 7%? We will grow at 7%. Because 7% growth is natural growth for India. If our power sector works, if our steel mills work, naturally people will demand more goods, more services, natural growth. But this natural, normal growth does not create jobs, does not create incomes. Which is why there's so much unhappiness that we find out. There's so much unhappiness. You go anywhere in India, I'll tell you a couple of anecdotes. You go anywhere in India and ask questions. I've asked this question in Thoothukudi. I've asked this question in Nashik. I've asked this question in Kolhapur. I've asked this question in Thane, near Mumbai. I've asked this question in Kolkata. I've asked this question in a small town like Karaikuri. I have an audience here, mainly chambers of commerce, business people, etc. I asked them, tell me, how many of you have added one more job in your muster roll in the last 12 months? If you've already got 20 people working for you, how many of you have added the 21st person? Believe me, not one hand goes up. Not one hand goes up. Maybe somebody's shy and is not saying, let's allow 5 hands may have gone up, he's shy, he may have added one job, he does not want to admit he added only one job. But by and large, the audience is completely silent. The last meeting address was in Nashik. There were some 3,000 people, chartered accountant, lawyer, doctor, citizens, chambers of commerce. I asked this question, not one hand went up saying, yes, I created a job. I have another client, 2,000 crore industry into the construction business. Turnkey construction. He builds roads, he builds power plants, he builds factories, turnkey. He takes contract, builds a factory, builds a road and hands it over. He's a turnkey contractor. You understand what a turnkey contractor is. EPC contractor. 2,000 crore is the turnover. The owner is a respected businessman. Not very big, not very small. I asked him, we were chatting, I asked him, how many people do you employ? He says, I employ about 800 people. I said, how many of them are engineers? He said, I have about 250 engineers. How many are designers and architects? He said, I have about 150 designers. I have 2 centers for design. Design is made in the 2 centers. I said, how many jobs have you added in the last 2 years or 3 years? He started laughing. He said, why are you laughing? He said, adding jobs? I have sacked 100 people in the last 2 years. I've asked 100 people to go home because I have no work. It also depends on externally favorable factors. I concede that point. But the external environment is extremely favorable. I remember 2008, 8th of July, when crude oil prices were $145 a barrel. I wish the earth had opened up and swallowed me. What do I do with $145 a barrel? If crude oil is at $145 a barrel, how do you maintain prices? How do you contain inflation? How do you pay for the crude oil? We import 90% of our crude oil from Iran, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, etc. When the Modi government took over, in September 2014, prices crashed to $30 a barrel. It remained at about $40 a barrel for a long time. The huge bonanza, but they didn't capitalize on that bonanza. The external environment is still very favorable. World economy in the last 3 years has grown at an average of 3.2%. And world economy growing at 3 or 3.2% is considered very high, very good. So the external environment is favorable. If the external environment is favorable, why are we not growing? Why is India not growing at 9%, 10%, which alone will create jobs? At 7%, you can't create jobs. At 7%, you can only have enough jobs so that people who retire, people who die are replaced by new people. You won't get additional jobs. Additional jobs will come only when the economy grows at 8%, 9%, 10%. My regret is, in the last 4 years, we have squandered a great opportunity. We squandered a great opportunity presented by a very benign, very helpful external environment, as a result of which we have done great disservice to the people of this country, especially to the young people of this country. We have done a great disservice. Now, I don't want to get into the macroeconomic numbers. Some of these numbers may not make any sense to you. But let's understand the numbers. Fiscal deficit will not be contained this year at 3.3%. The current account deficit is going to touch at least 2.5%. Our foreign exchange reserves have been run down by almost $30 billion in the last 2 months. The rupee is depreciating. So all these indicators, the macroeconomic stability is being compromised. Our banks have no money to lend. Bank NPAs have crossed 10 lakh crore. It will cross 12 lakh crore by the end of this year. Banks have no money to lend. I meet chairmen at airports, on flights, etc. So ask a chairman of a bank, have you got a big ticket loan proposal? Is somebody come to you for 5,000 crore, 3,000 crore to put up a huge plant? How many loans have you sanctioned? He looks around, makes sure nobody's hearing me, nobody's hearing us, make sure nobody's in hearing set. Then he whispers in my ear, sir, I'm retiring in 6 months. Nobody wants to lend today. Nobody wants to lend. Why would he lend? Today, just today, 28th of August, 17,000 crore. 17,000 crore of power plants has been referred to the insolvency board. The date expired yesterday, 27th of August. 180 days is over. Today, 17,000 megawatts, did I say crore wrong? 17,000 megawatts of power capacity has been referred to the insolvency board. India's top companies are in the insolvency. Every lawyer worth his salt is no longer practicing in the High Court. He's practicing before the insolvency board. That is where the largest number of lawyers are. If 100 companies, 200 companies of India are before insolvency, what does it say about India's industry? This is not a partisan speech. I'm not making a political speech. I'm making a speech because I am deeply concerned that we have lost a great opportunity to build India's economy. Even otherwise, it is a difficult task to manage India's economy. But this government did two of the most foolish things that one can think of. First, demonetization. Show me one economist anywhere in the world who has stood up and said demonetization is a good thing. Not one. On the day Prime Minister announced demonetization, Chief Economic Advisor Arvind Subramanian was in Kerala. He was not even in Delhi. He was not consulted. He did not know that demonetization is taking place. He is the Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India. He is in Kerala addressing a seminar. And at 8 o'clock, 7:30, he receives a telephone call from one of the Prime Minister's assistants to say, Arvind, tune into your television at 8 o'clock, a major announcement is coming. If the Chief Economic Advisor of this country does not know that demonetization is being done, what kind of an economy is this? It's like the Chief of Army Staff being told, at 8 o'clock, please tune into your television. Prime Minister is making an important announcement, and Prime Minister goes and says, we have declared war on China. If Chief of Army Staff does not know, what is he the Chief of Army Staff for? That is how demonetization was done. I can tell you all kinds of stories about demonetization. You won't believe me. You won't believe me, but that is what exactly happened. On the 7th of November, they write a letter to the Reserve Bank of India, telling the Reserve Bank, you please call a board meeting and make a recommendation for demonetization. Board meeting of Reserve Bank is called on email or SMS or telephone. 3 or 4 members do not attend the meeting because they were given only notice of a few hours. The board meets. Governor tells them, I have to make a recommendation for demonetization. The board members say, where is the background paper? Where have you analyzed the pros and cons? Please tell us the advantages and disadvantages of demonetization and we will take a decision. He says, no, I have to send my recommendation in half an hour. There is no background paper. There is no agenda item. There is no discussion. They pass a 1-paragraph resolution. We recommend demonetization of 1,500 rupee notes. The board meeting is called at 5 o'clock. It's over at about 6 o'clock. It is communicated to Delhi. Here the cabinet is waiting. The cabinet is being called. They are waiting. Prime Minister has not come. The cabinet ministers are waiting. Then the Prime Minister comes. Prime Minister comes and says, an important announcement will be made at 8 o'clock. All of you please stay here. You will get coffee, tea, etc. You can eat. No mobile telephones. You can't go home. And then the Prime Minister goes and announces it. The cabinet sees it on television. This is exactly what happened. They will never admit it. We have asked by RTI, we have asked the RBI, where is the agenda paper? Where is the background note? Where are the minutes of the meeting? They still don't have it. They won't give it under RTI. They won't give it under RTI. There's no cabinet paper for the cabinet. The cabinet was called without a cabinet paper. And this is exactly what happened. All right, forget the funny part of the story. What did demonetization do? Did it help this country? Geeta Gopinath is a professor at Harvard University. She is in the Prime Minister's International Advisory Group. She made a statement, it's on record, it's in newspapers. I have not come across an economist anywhere in the world who has a good word to say about demonetization. Geeta Gopinath's statement, not mine. What did demonetization do? Demonetization impoverished the people of India. Demonetization drove people into debt. There are people who had to borrow to live, borrow to pay wages, borrow to pay farm wages, borrow to carry on their little trade. They have not repaid their debt so far. For 2 months, daily workers did not get work. Please remember, in this country there are 15 crore people. 15 crore people who are dependent on daily labor. Head load worker, carpenter, plumber, electrician, mason, bricklayer, cart puller, rickshaw puller, 15 crore people, farm labor. Assuming that 3 people are dependent on him, 45 crore people in this country are dependent on daily work. You work today, you can have food tonight. If you don't work, there is no food. 15 crore families, 45 crore people are dependent on daily work. For 2 months, they had no work. For 2 months, they had no income. They had to live. They borrowed money. And they are deep in debt today. Unable to pay the debt. This is the position what demonetization did. And I told you, small and medium industry, in Tamil Nadu alone, 50,000 units were closed down. Multiplied by 29 states. In Tamil Nadu, 50,000 units. What about Maharashtra? What about Gujarat? What about Punjab, Haryana, Bengal? You multiply it. 5 lakh people lost their jobs in Tamil Nadu. Multiply it again by 29. So what did demonetization do? The next foolish step was the way they implemented GST. It's a shame. GST is a good idea. I announced it in 2006 and I wanted it implemented by 2010. The BJP obstructed it. All right, we won't get into all that. But when you implemented GST, what did you do? This is not GST. World over, GST is one rate. And I said in Parliament, please keep one rate. Arvind Subramaniam has recommended a rate of 15% or 15.5%. I will go a step further. Cap it at 18%. Don't have a rate above 18%. They had 0, 0.3, 5, 8, 12, 15, 28, 40 and cesses on top of that. So what did they do? When Gujarat election came, they cut the rates for about 200 items. When Karnataka election came, they cut the rate for another 200 items. So I wrote, every month we must have an election. That is the only way they will cut the rate. What kind of a GST is this? Is there anywhere in the world where you've got 5 rates for GST today? Just go and ask a small businessman. He will tell you the kind of torture that the GST is doing. I'll tell you what happened in Ahmedabad. They opened a GST Seva Center where people can go and get advice on how to comply with GST. They posted 3-4 top officers in Ahmedabad. So the local Ahmedabad Chamber of Commerce decided, let us go there and ask for Seva, how to fill the form. So they all went there and gave their account books of 2 or 3 people and said, now please fill out this GST form. Believe me, I'm not telling you a story. This happened. It's in the papers. For 3 hours, those officers tried to fill the form. They could not fill the form. Now today, I come from a small town, a village near a small town, Karaikudi. Population of 1.5 lakhs. Small businessmen, small shopkeepers. They've got local accountants who write their books and they pay their taxes, sales tax, whatever, VAT, etc. Suddenly you tell him, Baba, you'll have to file 3 returns a month, 36 returns plus 1 annual return, 37 returns a year, and you must file it online. He says, what is online? What do I know about online? I can write an account book, I can write a day book and a ledger, and my accountant will calculate the tax. You suddenly tell me, go online, open this, press this key, you will get this done, then go to this tab, press this, that will open. He says, I've never seen a computer. Suddenly you say, implement it. Now, how do you do this in a country like India? Thank God, because we have got such robust common sense and such adaptability and resilience. After a lot of suffering, about 12 months and 15 months of suffering, industry is more or less adjusted to the GST and have learned to file. They have learned to file. But look at the difficulty you put them through. So these are foolish things. Now the third foolish thing is tax terrorism. If any of you come from business families, you must go and ask your father or mother. Income tax department sends out 1 lakh notices, 2 lakh notices. GST department sends out 1 lakh notices. Now the income tax department simply does not have the capacity to deal with 1 lakh notices. If you send out 1 lakh notices, you will get 1 lakh replies. And you must deal with the 1 lakh replies, you must pass an order. Income tax department simply does not have the capacity to deal with 1 lakh notices. So why are you sending 1 lakh notices? To terrorize people, to threaten people. Listen, watch out. If you don't fall in line, if you don't pay taxes, what I ask you, if you complain too much, I will send you a notice. You ask any businessman, he will tell you, example of tax terrorism is the kind of notices he gets every day, every month, every 3 months he gets a notice. All this has mucked up India's economy. The net result is, we are in a state of stagnation. 7% growth in India is stagnation. It is not growth. Anything above 7% is growth. 7% is the normal. 7% is the normal. For example, if India produces, say, 200 million tons of food grain, that is normal. That is not growth. Because every year you will produce 200 million tons. It will rain somewhere, it will flood somewhere, drought somewhere, but you will produce 200 million tons. It's like a teacher saying, half my class passed this year, but half my class passing is normal. You're a good teacher if all your class students pass. If half the class passes, it's normal. What is great about it? That's normal. Children will pass exams. Therefore, 7% growth is normal. Don't get excited about 7% growth. 7% growth sends me into depression. It doesn't excite me. Anything above 7% is growth. 8% is growth. 9% is very good growth. 10% is excellent growth. But we are nowhere near achieving it. Nowhere near achieving it. UPA 1, NDA 1 growth was 5.68%. UPA 1 growth was 8.36%. UPA 2 growth was 7.68%. NDA 2, the last 4 years, growth is 7.33%. This year also they will achieve 7% growth, but doesn't excite me at all. So this is the state of our economy. I'm sorry to bring you bad news. I wish I could have brought you better news. But that is because, and I don't question anybody's intention. I have not used a harsh word in the last 30 minutes. I don't question anybody's intention. I think every Prime Minister, every government wants to do something. I think so. But Wanting to do something is different from having the capacity to do it. I also want to run 100 meters like Usain Bolt. But I run like Usain Bolt. I can't run like Usain Bolt. I also want to do this, I also want to score a century like Virat Kohli, but I can't score a century like Virat Kohli. The problem about this government is, as far as economy is concerned, they do not have competent managers. They do not have competent people to manage the economy. They had a few people, but all of them ran away. The first to leave was Dr. Rajya. Why did you let him go? Is he anti-national? There are at least 10 countries which will want Raghuram Rajan as their governor. You let him go. Then there was Dr. Arvind Panagriya, Columbia University. Well, you can have difference of opinion about him, but he is a reputed economist. He left Niti Aayog because nobody consulted him on anything. Then you had Arvind Subramaniam. The last recognizable name in this government was Arvind Subramaniam. He also left. Who are you left with now? Who are you left with now? Well, I don't want to take names, you know the names. Who are you left with now? It is not as though Indians don't have talent. There is talent here in this hall. There is talent in your university. There is talent abroad. There is enormous talent abroad. There is enormous talent abroad. Please remember, the head of Harvard Business School is an Indian. Until last year, the head of Kellogg's was an Indian. He now heads the school in China. China has taken an Indian who was head of Kellogg's to head their business school because they want to build a business school in Shanghai equal to Harvard Business School. He's an Indian. There are Indians who are heading universities today, but nobody wants to come back and work for the government of India today. Why? You must ask yourself why. Now, why would an Arvind Subramaniam or a Raghuram Rajan work for somebody who does not even take them into confidence about demonetization? Why would he work for somebody? Why would he work for somebody who rejects the report saying, please keep GST rate at 15%? Why would they work for somebody? Therefore, India is being served poorly by incompetent economic managers. It's sad, but we'll have to suffer it for a little while longer. I hope not too long. I don't know. I don't know how long we have to suffer it. But I'm very sorry to say that we have lost a great opportunity to build a 10% growth economy. Thank you very much.
Hello. Going ahead to the second part of our program, one thing that I want to say is that this kind of development is only possible when a such kind of multi-talented person comes to the power. And he is only Modi. He knows everything. Political science, he knows economics, he knows everything. Secondly, hello. Is it audible now?
Friends, यदि आपने इसको क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहिए, if you have some query, you can ask sir. We will take questions one by one, and then sir can reply. Anyone?
And so, after that, competitive people doesn't have. So you said BJP doesn't have competitive people to hold such posts, but it's only BJP that they say that there is no alternative to Modi. There is no leadership. But why doesn't Congress counter this perception that there is no alternative to Modi? Because Congress has such high quality leaders like intellectuals, development, statues of. But why doesn't this perception is countered by Congress?
You see, government can be changed only once in 5 years. Once you elect a government, please remember, once you elect a government, you have to suffer that government for 5 years, good or bad. We can't change government every 6 months. It's not possible. That's not the way our democracy works. I think change is in the air. I'm fervently hoping the change will happen. I'm absolutely confident when change happens, the economy will go to more competent hands. But today, the sad fact is, the economy is not in competent hands. We can only write, we can only speak, we can only explain matters to people. But those who are in power, those who are in authority, will continue to take decisions, and some of them are extremely bad decisions. Extremely bad decisions. For example, let's look at this Ayushman Bharat. You all heard about Ayushman Bharat? This medical care which they are calling Modi care. It's an insurance-based model. Government says it will pay the premium. You have to be in the insurance-based model and you go to a hospital, you get free treatment. Is that the right model for India? I don't think so. The right model for India is the model practiced in Europe. Vast expansion of public facilities, more public hospitals, more super specialities, more tertiary hospitals, more district level hospitals, more taluk level hospitals, more primary health centers, more doctors, more beds, more nurses, and public health care is free. That is the way you can treat 130 crore people. You can't do it by an insurance model. Insurance model has been a complete failure anywhere in the world. Even in America, Obamacare, which is an insurance model, is being seriously questioned. And America's per capita is about $50,000 and our per capita is barely $1,800. Now, but who's to tell this government this is a wrong model? All that we can hope is when change happens, more competent people will take over and the economy can then be managed better.
Any other query?
Recently, sir, recently old series of data on GDP was released and it showed that the UK had a much greater growth as compared to the recently 4 years of government. So what's your take on this?
We will take 2-3.
Well, my take is that under Dr. Manmohan Singh, whatever you may feel about it, think about it, under Dr. Manmohan Singh, the economy was in more competent hands. There's no question about it. There's no question about it. I've seen at close quarters, at very close quarters, I've seen how President Obama used to sit with Dr. Manmohan Singh and listen to him as if it was a lecturer teaching a classroom. I've seen it. Not that Obama will accept everything Dr. Manmohan Singh says, but he wanted to listen to him to know how to run a huge economy. We are nothing compared to American economy. But President Obama was very keen to know how do I deal with my problems in my country? He was talking about it, and Dr. Manmohan Singh was giving his views. Now, it was in more competent hands. Today, unfortunately, all decisions are taken in the PMO. I mean, that's an open secret. You ask any minister you talk privately, he says, Baba, why are you asking me? PMO. PMO. Nobody takes any decision. Nobody is allowed to take any decision. So if you have competent hands managing the economy, I think the economy can go back to 9% growth.
It's not.
Come forward.
Is it? Okay. Thank you for your graceful presence.
Come forward.
Okay. Okay, just a minute. So you made the statement that the poor is poor because he's unable to earn, and the rich producer cannot produce because he's unable to produce. But when you make the statement, are you forgetting are you neglecting a very important fact that we as a state, so not we, but the state is also failing in giving you a proper regulatory mechanism to join the producer and the seller together. So there is no proper interface between the two. So poverty is not because I am poor and I'm not able to earn. It is also because the state is unable to give me a proper mechanism to earn and get a better living for myself. For instance, now, or I have the willingness to speak and you all have the willingness to listen. But this mic, if you resonated with the state, is not giving me the proper interface to voice my opinion and to make you hear about it. So I want you to reflect on this particular aspect of poverty which is coming in front. And this is not about a government in particular. This is about a state in particular. So I would like to reflect.
You're right, you're right. Unless there is a proper regulated system with a proper regulation, producer, consumer, farmer, consumer, there is not enough interaction or commerce between them that will keep the economy buzzing. You're absolutely right. The best example is agriculture. You produce cotton. You have to take it to a mandi to sell it. You go to a mandi, there is a MSP, minimum support price. You wait for 5 days before your cotton bags are weighed and sold. Now, how can a farmer wait for 5 days? So what does he do? He waits for 1 day, he waits for a second day, then he decides, I can't wait for 3 days, I have to stay here, I have to eat here, how can I wait? So he sells to the broker, collects less than the MSP and goes home. The broker then pretends to be the farmer and sells to the mandi and collects the MSP. Why? Because the regulatory structure for the farmer, seller and the buyer has failed. But that is true of many areas, because there is a failure of the overall regulatory mechanism. So I agree there must be better regulation. But I don't agree with you that there is a difference between state and government. Theoretically, state is state, governments come and go. But on any given day, any given time, it is the government which represents. It is the government is competent, efficient, the state is competent and efficient. If the government is not competent, not efficient, the state is inefficient. So while there is something known as state, it is the government which operates the state. So when governments are incompetent, this is what will happen. If governments don't manage things competently, this is what will happen. I mean, we had serious problems in the power sector today because government is not managing it properly. Coal is not being managed properly. The power trading is not being managed properly. Power pricing is not being managed properly. Therefore, the power sector is in terrible shape. As I said, 17,000 megawatts are being referred to insolvency today. 20,000 megawatts are stranded because they don't have coal, they don't have capital to restart. It's poor management. The same thing you can say about banks, the same thing you can say about some other sectors of industry which are doing very poorly. Some are doing well, some are doing poorly. It's all about how competent you are to manage the external environment and manage the internal business. If you are incompetent, it will show up in results.
3 questions already answered. We'll take 2 more questions. First question we take from
Friends, we are very sorry because electricity is not working properly.
Thank you so much, sir, for the presence and for your presence and the issues you have raised and you have addressed. My question is you came up with the fact that the government could have capitalized and utilized the external factors in a much better way than it has already done. And because at the time of Dr. Manmohan Singh, as far as I remember, the prices of crude was very high and inflation was hitting almost all the countries in the world. India was about to get hit, but because of his, I can call it heroic, approach to the economic dimension, he saved India from getting into this thing, inflation. So what could have the BJP government conducted to manage this crisis and come up with something very amazing so that India could have reached that 10 GDP growth? Because there were many things the Modi government didn't do. But as you said, the Modi government could have done that. So can you please elaborate a bit more on it? Like on external factors as well as on internal factors. Thank you, sir.
You see, I said, the Modi government got a huge bonanza when oil prices crashed and commodity prices crashed. According to my calculation, they had about a 75,000 crore rupee bonanza. Now, what could you have done differently? You could have reduced the fiscal deficit sharply. That was an option available. You could have increased massively. They did neither. They simply wasted that 75,000 crore rupees. And I have written a column where that 75,000 crore went. If Dr. Manmohan Singh was in office, I don't know, I should ask him, I think he would have either sharply reduced the fiscal deficit or he would have massively increased public investment or done both. Reduce the fiscal deficit, not sharply, but significantly, and increase the public investment, if not massively, significantly. I think we could have done that. If we had done that, India's growth would have gone up to 8-9%. But more than doing the right thing, the art of government is not doing the wrong thing. If you've got a gun and you shoot yourself in your leg, how can you run a race then? This is exactly what the Modi government did. It shot itself in one foot in demonetization, shot itself on another foot through the GST. The only thing it did not do is shoot itself in the head. So doing the right thing is important, not doing the wrong thing is also important. I think there were many options. We have written about it, we have spoken about it. There were many options to the government in 2014 and 15. They missed the opportunity. Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead. Let me. Well, the idea of India has been in grave danger for quite some time. I think the turning points were Babri Masjid, Gujarat riots. There were both major turning points where the idea of India was severely harmed. Until the Babri Masjid took place, our idea of India was very, very different. Babri Masjid changed it dramatically, damaged it dramatically. Gujarat riots damaged it even more dramatically. And some other day you call me, I'll come and talk to you about idea of India. Today, I think the economy has been badly damaged. But if you ask me, the polity has been even more badly damaged. But that would require a separate lecture. The polity has been even more badly damaged. Institutions are being captured. Institutions are being undermined. Institutions are being very, very subtly destroyed. You could say that about the judiciary, institutions like the Information Commission, institutions, many other institutions are being severe. Vice chancellors are not appointed for universities. There are today, as I speak to you, 7 banks which don't have a chairman. They don't have a managing director. How can you run a bank without a managing director? 7 banks. And the earliest vacancy arose on 1st of January 2018, which means for the last 8 months there is no managing director for that bank. There are today 411 vacancies in the high courts. 411 vacancies in the high courts. Now you don't appoint judges, you don't appoint bank managing directors. The second question is easily answered. We need to support SME. At the same time, we also need large steel plants. We also need large cement plants. We need large aluminium plants. We cannot do without large projects. SMEs is important, but we also need the big projects. We need large automobile projects. We need large two-wheeler projects. We need large steel plants. Today, there is no bank which will lend to any large project. You know the only loans banks are giving today? Home loan, vehicle loan. These are the only 2 loans. In rural India, the only loan that is being given is jewel loan. You take your jewelry, pledge it and collect your money. 2,100 rupees per 10 grams is the loan. The rate is 2,900 value. If you pledge 10 grams of gold, they will give you 2,100 rupees. That is the only loan that is being given. This is called lazy banking. This is not aggressive banking because they have no money to give. Therefore, while SMEs must be encouraged, large projects are absolutely necessary. For example, India produces 1/10 of the steel produced in China. How can we ever catch up with China? We need to produce as much steel as China produces. And that can only come by large loans. And there's no bank which can get large loans. Let's go back to your first question. Your first question about NPA. When the UPA debited office, NPA was about 2,14,000 crore. 2 lakh, little more 2 lakhs. December 2017, it touched 10 lakhs. By the end of this year, it is going to touch 12 lakh crore. Now, who is responsible for this? I asked in Parliament. They said legacy issue. These are loans given by the UPA. I said, fine, we'll accept it. Some loans were given in UPA. But tell me, how many loans were given after 26th of May 2014, which have become NPA? It is not as though no loans were given after 26th May. I said, break it up. Break it up into loans given in the UPA and loans given under NDA, and tell me how much of that is NPA and how much of this is NPA. Even today, there is no answer. Why is there no answer? Loans given after 26 May 2014 have also become NPA. Why does NPA happen? I think only a small percentage are willful defaulters. And they run away from this country anyway. Malia, Modi, Chokshi. 90% of the borrowers are honest borrowers. They want to repay because there is a lot of social stigma. If you don't pay the loan, there is social stigma. He doesn't want an auctioneer to come and auction his house. But when there is a downturn in the economy, he cannot pay the loan. That time, we have to handhold the industry to make sure that we come out of the downturn and he repays the loan. We've had 2 very bad NPA episodes in this country. One was under Yashwant Sinha. Under Yashwant Sinha, in the year 98, 99, 2000, we had a very bad episode of NPA. But he didn't make such a he managed it quietly. We had a second very bad incident of NPA in 2007-8. We didn't make such a hue and cry. We managed it quietly. These guys made a huge hue and cry about NPA, but they don't know how to manage it. That is why NPAs have become from 2 lakh crore to 10 lakh crore and 12 lakh crore. It is now it is the big elephant in the room now. Unless you tackle this elephant, you're not going to go anywhere. But I don't think they have any ideas to tackle this elephant. They've run out of ideas. They've run out of gas. They simply don't have any idea how to tackle this elephant sitting in the room. Yes. Yes.
Thank you for your presence, sir. You got educated. My question is very basic. I wanted to know, the way the change was through making the change sound in a rhythmic manner. When they came up with the propaganda of Achhe Din Aayenge. Regardless of they came or not came, but their programs pretty much become the air of an uneducated person. Their programs like Make in India, Digital India, even an uneducated person understands it. So how will you make that uneducated person understand the implication of their programs such as Make in India or Digital India?
But I still don't understand your question. What is the question?
The basic idea is how will you make an uneducated person understand the implications behind Make in India or Digital India programs?
Oh, okay. You will be surprised. You'll be surprised that firstly, India's literacy is now touched about 72%. So there's really no uneducated person in India. Very old people are. Every child today can read and write. If you go to rural India, you'll be surprised at the circulation of newspapers, circulation of magazines. People read. People can use a mobile. People send SMSs. People get news on the digital mode. So there's no such. India is no longer uneducated as we think it is. They may not be highly educated, but they are very literate very knowledgeable. Young people are very knowledgeable. Even people from the farming community are very knowledgeable today because all of them are educated. Tamil Nadu, Kerala have all got 10% literacy now. Therefore, they're all very educated, they know what is going on. Now, how do you tell them? All this is slogans. Now, even Mr. Modi no longer says Achhe Din Aane Wale. He doesn't say that. He now has got something Saaf Niyati. Yeah. He doesn't say Achhe Din Aane Wale because he knows it's not going to come in 5 years. So he's completed 4 years. The point is, people are not fools. You say make in India. We know that no factories are coming up in parts of India. People know that. They asked them the question 5 years ago, there was one factory. 5 years later, there's still one factory. Where is make in India? Then you say skill India. We started the National Skill Development Corporation. Is a skill India? Fine. You have sent people to various courses, but where are the jobs? What is the point of giving a skill to somebody if he can't practice that skill in a job? In 3 months, he learns a skill. 6 months, he learns a skill. But if he does not have a job, he's going to forget that skill in another 6 months. So people understand that nothing is happening. See, I travel extensively. I mean, I'm on a flight or a train or on the road several days a month, and I meet hundreds of people. They know nothing is changing. Nothing has changed. And if there's no change, they know that things are not getting better. I'm not saying things are getting worse. I think what we face in India today is utter stagnation today. Just complete stagnation. There's no movement forward. There's no spirit. There's no drive. There's no energy. There's no enthusiasm. It's a feeling of helplessness. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. What did we do? What did we do 4 years for? Nothing is happening. That is the feeling which makes people very despondent. You go to any small town, not small town, medium-sized town. Young girls don't come out so much, but young men, 20, 22, 18, 25, they're hanging around. They're just hanging around in the bazaar, in the chowk, doing nothing. They're just hanging around because there's nothing to do. There's no job, there's no opportunity. And I'm sure for every young man, there's a young woman sitting at home. She can't come and hang around. In big cities, you can hang around for an hour or two with your friends. But in a small town, you can't, 5, 6 girls can't hang around. You can go to the temple, you can go to the pond, you can go to the beach if there's one. But you can't hang around late in the night. But young men are simply hanging around. And I see them. 10 o'clock at night, they're just hanging around. 8 o'clock in the evening, they're hanging around. 6 o'clock in the evening, they're hanging around. 11 o'clock in the morning, they're hanging around. There's nothing to do. There's no buzz. There's no activity. There's no movement. There's no to and fro. People are not moving up and down to do something. They're just hanging around. That's the sad part. We have to change this. We have to restart the engine of growth. We have to restart investment. Investment will mean more production, more jobs, more income. From more income, there will be more savings, more taxes, more investment. You have to restart the engine. This engine can be restarted. It's not impossible. In 1991, when Dr. Manmohan Singh took over as Prime Minister, the engine had come to a complete halt. What is the foreign exchange reserve today? $400 billion. $400 billion. You know what we had? We were not born then, 91. You know how much we had? $800 million. We didn't even have 1 billion. India did not have even 1 billion. Today we touched 430, it's come down to 400. Then we have to restart the engine. It is possible to restart the engine. It's possible. And we will restart the engine.
Sir, I just want to ask, what is your opinion on India rejecting foreign aid? Like, as much as I recall, India was facing huge criticism from UK that they are recipients, they are receiving aid from us, and they have spent the more amount than that in their Mangalyaan project. Then Manmohan Singh said, okay, keep your aid, we will not be a recipient anymore, we are donors. But then in this situation, when India is facing a crisis, like in Kerala case,
Okay, now listen. In a disaster, there are three phases. One is rescue, second is relief, third is rehabilitation. For rescue, you don't need foreign aid. We can rescue our own people. And foreign aid is going to come in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Rescue has to be done today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow. For rescue, you don't need foreign aid. Again, for relief, you don't need foreign aid. You have to give rice, wheat, pulses, oil, clothes, blankets, kerosene. For that, you don't require foreign aid. India is good enough, strong enough to take care of relief. The real challenge is rehabilitation. Building the houses, building the roads, rebuilding everything. For that, according to me, there is no harm in taking foreign aid. But today we are in the stage of relief and rescue, and rescue is over, more or less over in Kerala. Relief is taking place. There is no harm in accepting foreign aid for rehabilitation. In the tsunami, what we decided was, we will not take aid from individual countries, we will take aid from multilateral agencies. We took aid from European Union. We took aid from World Bank. We took aid from IMF. So there's no harm taking aid from multilateral agencies. So each country does not give you some $10 million and say, I gave you 10 million. You come together and give aid. No harm taking that aid. But I don't see why we should take small amounts of money from each country. It is not necessary. Not necessary. Not that it is undesirable. It is not necessary. Yes, last question.
सर सभी ने यहाँ पे मार्केटिंग के बारे में बात कर ली, बैंकिंग के बारे में बात कर ली, लेकिन किसान के बारे में किसी ने बात नहीं की। सर मैं आपसे किसी ने पूछा था क्या किसानों के अच्छे दिन आएंगे, क्या किसानों की आर्थिक स्थिति अच्छी होगी?
When I spoke the first 10 minutes, I spoke about farmers only. When did you come to the meeting?
किसानों के बारे में क्या किसानों के अच्छे दिन आएंगे सर? ये क्वेश्चन है सर।
Kisan.
लेट आया था सर, थोड़ा सा लेट आया।
Came later. The Kisan will get Achhe Din only if his income rises. For the last 3 years, 4 years, according to Arvind Subramaniam, I said it, your friends will tell you, real agricultural income has been stagnant. Real agricultural wages have been stagnant, which is why the Kisan feels very bad, very despondent. 4 years ago, if he was getting 300 rupees, in real terms, he's getting the same 300 rupees today. If a farmer who had 2 acres of land was getting 50,000 rupees 4 years ago, today he's getting the same 50,000. Real agricultural income, real agricultural wages are stagnant. The only way where a farmer can get Achhe Din is his income must rise. His income will rise only if he can get a better price for his produce, or he is guaranteed a certain level of income irrespective of whether the crop is successful or failed. So there are ways, we are thinking about it, there are ways in which we can raise the income of farmers. We will raise the income of farmers if there is a change.
Sir. Excuse me, sir. I beg your pardon. Can I have the last question, sir?
It will be last question.
Yeah, fine. Sir, I want your frank opinions regarding one thing. Because the India that was in 1947 has changed a lot to what it is today. So, from your opinion, sir, like the representation for states regarding the population, that always will give upper hand for few states. So in a way, the kind of words which I am using, it may be hurting several people, but still I want to use it, sir. It has become from a democracy to an oligarchy because the leaders will be mostly from a certain area itself. So Only the oligarchs are changing, but the oligarchy is continuing. If at all states are given equal representation, equal number of MPs for all states, such a scenario may change, may even give a better governance for the country itself. And also, sir, there are also several problems like even EVM fraud, all the country is facing. And I want your opinion, sir. Thank you.
Well, I don't agree with you. Democracy means one man, one vote. You cannot give equal number of MPs for UP and Goa. It's not possible. UP has 80 MPs, Goa has 2 MPs. How can you have equal number of MPs? It's not possible.
So then a section becomes minority.
No, it doesn't become minority. One man, one vote. What we have said is, up to 2025 or so, there won't be any change in the representation. We will take a look at it later. The answer is not to give this kind of artificial inequality. The answer is to bring down the birth rate in the more populous states. For example, today, almost 6 or 7 states have reached replacement rate. Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Gujarat, I think even 1 or 2 other states have reached replacement rate. It is the Bihar, UP, where the population is growing at a faster rate. They will come down. As economy prosperity happens, their rate also will come down. I don't agree with you that equal MP number of MP for each state means democracy. In fact, that may be antithetical to democracy. One nation, one man, one vote. That I think is the